For centuries, Nantucket and its sister islands, Tuckernuck and Muskeget, lay relatively undisturbed. Then, in the 1970s, Nantucket was rediscovered. With this explosion of popularity came hordes of tourists, the advent of trophy mansions, over-fertilized lawns, and skyrocketing property values. The future of the island's unspoiled open space was seriously at risk. Fortunately, the Nantucket Land Council, aided by like-minded organizations, helped turn the tide and made significant strides in protecting the undisturbed natural beauty of the islands. Today, nearly 40% of Nantucket is forever protected for future generations, and the Nantucket Land Council continues its dedication to the mission of planning, protecting, and preserving Nantucket's fragile natural resources.
The Nantucket Land Council, since 1974, has been filled a key niche role in the community by providing a environmental watchdog role. We attend planning board meetings, conservation commission meetings, every regulatory meeting that essentially has a development application that is involved with sensitive natural resources. We'll go to those meetings and speak out for the protection of those natural resources. No longer can just environmental agencies be concerned with open space protection. They have to get involved with community issues. They have to get involved with the development issues of the island as well. The Land Bank, the Conservation Foundation, they're focused on purely open space protection, and we fill an additional role by focusing on development application review. Another component with our development review will be essentially if we feel a permit has been issued that is inconsistent with the rules and regulations, we will appeal that permit, take it to the necessary courts, whether it's local courts or state courts, or the Department of Environmental Protection courts, and again advocate for the protection of the natural resources. The Nantucket Land Council feels that it's very important to foster appreciation and understanding and awareness of the natural resources of the island. We support a number of the schools, the public schools, the private schools, by providing them with grants to help support environmentally related projects. We've done a number of different projects from water quality to funding for marine science investigations to on-the-ground projects such as creating community school gardens as well. For example, we help support Matt Little, who's been a great champion of environmental education on the island. We've provided him with snorkeling gear, with scalloping gear, with a number of infrastructure that will help his students sort of learn more about the environmental resources. He's actually, in return, had some of his students help us with beach grass planting. We've restored a number of areas throughout the island by planting beach grass, and it's a great opportunity, a great experience for the kids.
This particular age group, working with middle school students and high school students, I think it's very important to get them out in the field to practice the science and to see the principles that they're learning in the classroom, to see it happening in the real world. This authentic approach to their education gives them something that they can hang their hat on. It's one thing to talk about some of these concepts in the classroom and some of these principles, but when they actually get out and learn that science is a verb and they get out with scientists that work in the field, such as Emily and Cormac, it is far more important to the students and something they walk away remembering.
The Land Council sponsors a number of year-round educational opportunities for the community. Specifically, we've been sponsoring scholarships and educational opportunities for the landscapers. There's quite an issue in regards to over-fertilization of gardens and lawns, and we feel that it is very important to educate landscapers about how to reduce their nutrients into the water. The Nantucket Land Council provides a number of educational opportunities for the community year-round. In the fall, we provide a great service for people to learn about monarch butterflies. In the wintertime, we provide curriculum development to the schools and to other agencies as well. In the spring, we provide a great field trip on vernal pools, spring vernal pools, and ending in the summertime, we provide a great educational opportunity for people to learn about the downtown trees of Nantucket. One of the major goals of the Nantucket Land Council is to protect both the fresh and saltwater resources of the island. We've commissioned a number of scientific studies that have specifically resulted in tangible protection benefits for numerous aspects of the ecosystem, such as eelgrass and scallop populations. More recently, we've been working with Dr. Jim Sutherland to analyze nutrient contamination out at the head of Hummock Pond.
The work I'm doing here on the head of Hummock Pond in conjunction with the Nantucket Land Council is a continuation of a water quality study that was started 3 years ago. We've determined that water quality in head of Hummock is particularly poor. There are very high nutrients in the pond, and we have determined that there are types of algae in the pond that can produce toxins that are detrimental to human health. I also sat down and wrote a grant with the Nantucket Land Council last fall. We submitted it to the local CPC and received funding to purchase a solar bee circulator, which is currently installed in the pond. It's been there since April 18th, and we're trying to determine if continually circulating the water in the pond will help to eliminate the toxic blue-green algae that exist.
The Nantucket Land Council has collaborated with the town of Nantucket on a number of projects dealing with the harbor. Through the years, we've financially supported water quality monitoring initiatives. We've helped support the creation of a shellfish management plan, and more recently, we're helping support the very valuable work and research that's going on at the Shellfish Lab.
So the Land Council has a number of programs that focus on water quality health around the island. And one of the reasons we wanted to team up with the Marine Department and with Terra is because we focus a lot on educating the community on land use practices and how what we do in the upland areas and in our own backyards can have a really serious impact on our ponds and harbors. And the work that they're doing here at the lab, propagating shellfish and helping to restore the harbor's water quality, really goes hand in hand with that. It's kind of where our focus on land use practices and their focus on the harbor come together. So it was a really good fit.
The work that I'm doing here at the lab is reproducing shellfish to restore Nantucket's commercial fishery and recreational fishery. We raise bay scallops, quahogs, and oysters to restore the fishery. This work is important because we have a commercial fishery that is in the decline right now. In 1986, we were harvesting 100,000 bushels of the bay scallops, and now it's dropped down to about 7,000. So it's really important to pay attention to the restoration and try and improve that for the local economy here on Nantucket. And also other shellfish, they're great at filtering water, so it's good for the water quality as well.
What separates the Nantucket Land Council from other land conservation organizations such as the Nantucket Islands Land Bank and the Nantucket Conservation Foundation is that the Land Council utilizes a land protection tool called a conservation restriction. Conservation restriction is essentially a legal document, a legal agreement between a landowner and a land trust such as the Land Council that will protect vast open space. With the donation of a conservation restriction, a landowner still retains ownership of their property but has restrictions on certain uses such as large-scale development and subdivision. A conservation restriction allows a landowner to retain special reserved rights, such as single-family home construction within a defined building envelope, agricultural uses, and recreational uses. The Nantucket Land Council has protected over 1,300 acres on 75 properties on Muskeget, Tuckernuck, and Nantucket. Several noteworthy conservation restrictions that we have recorded in the past 10 years include ones protecting the entire island of Muskeget, 270 acres of Linda Loring's property on Eel Point Road, and what we have here, 104 acres of beautiful property at Bartlett's Farm. This type of conservation is particularly valuable to Nantucket because it not only allows open space to be protected, it keeps family land in private hands and part of the working economy.
We have a conservation restriction because, for one thing, it agreed with our principles and how we feel about land in general. This is a beautiful piece of land. It was partially farmland with the Larrabee family. There's a lot of history here. And we just felt a conservation restriction was the perfect way to preserve it forever, but also live here and enjoy it and share it.
To find out more about the Nantucket Land Council and how you can help plan, protect, and preserve our beloved islands, visit us on the web at www.nantucket.org. nantucketlandcouncil.org.